Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Monday, October 27th, a little after 8 o'clock at night. I got a late start just coming home from soccer practice for my daughter. And this is our daily recap video for our YieldMax weekly paying funds, ULTY, the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, LFGY, the Crypto Option Income Strategy Fund, and I accidentally have ULTY up again, SLTY, the Ultra Short Option Income Strategy Fund. As always, reminder, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1. Follow me there for all things pointing back to the channel and to the ETFs that you guys like coverage on. All right, we will take a quick start first on the big picture. ULTY up 0.79%. At one point, they were 511, 512. We saw some nice prices today, but we like any kind of upside, so LFGY had a very good day, up over 2%, 2.07%, running into a little bit of cap space on a lot of things with them going up so much that they're beyond their sold strike prices on the calls. And of course, if the whole market's green for the most part, SLTY is going to be red, down 1.2%. So we'll get into our funds. Hang on one second. Need to switch to the trades. Sorry, trying to do too many things at once. Okay. ULTY started off by adding SoFi to the fund. So they bought 1.7 million shares for about $50 million. And then we have closing and rolling of the position in Cipher Mining, needing to move the strike price up. That cost $3.5 million. Centene Corp, this is one of the put spreads that they had. This is just a closeout. So if you noticed on the thumbnail, SoFi was added and Centene Corp was crossed out because it's going away. That cost $1.9 million because they found a way to drop while everybody else was going up. So their put spread did not work out. And then Iron closing and rolling again, they went beyond the sold strike price on the call, so that cost almost $5 million, $4.9 million to close out. And SoFi brought in $714,000, selling and buying of the collar strategy that ULTY trades when they own the shares. So overall, it was a negative $9.7 million day as far as options trading. We don't count the purchasing of SoFi as a $50 million loss, so we just count the options trading there. And that's going to go along with around $47 million increase in the value of the shares within the fund. So when we look at the holdings, Affirm was up 1.4%. Calls are sold at 80 and 81, 4.6 and just about 6% out of the money. They also sold puts to help pay for their protective puts, and they are 17.5 and almost 15% out. Bitmine Immersion was up 6.4%, taking their $53 calls into the money by 1.2%. No action taken. Puts are sold at 40 to help pay for the $45 puts. $8.5 million sitting in cash and other. Another $391 million, so just about $400 million in what I call dry powder. Cipher Mining, I forgot to line this out, right? Never mind, not Cipher. Centene is the one that we closed out. Okay, so Cipher Mining, this was one where we just rolled some positions. So they were down 0.5%, but still way in the money on those 18. So they got rolled. 1850s are almost 10% in the money. They're still in play. Centene Corp, like I said, they're gone now. So we don't have that put spread. One less thing to keep track of. Coinbase up almost 2%. Got my colors mixed up there. That should be yellow. It's slightly out of the money. Calls are sold at 362.50 and 375.3 and 3.75% out. Puts are sold at 280 to help pay for the protective puts, 22.5% out. CoreWeave was up 2.6%. Unfortunately, their calls sold were already in the money and they went deeper. 129s and 130s are about 4.5 and 5% out. The sold puts, or the short puts, whichever way you want to call it, are 26% out of the money. Galaxy Digital, this is another one of those put spreads. They did rise to the point where they are just out of the money by 0.1%. Hims and Hers was down a little over 1%. Another color wrong. I must have did my color coding a little bit before the market closed. 51s and 53s sold at calls are 5.6 and 9.8% out. $40 puts sold are 17% out. Robinhood up 4.3%, taking all their options into the money. 140s and 144s are 1 and 4% in the money now. No action was taken. Iron Limited up 3.3%. Again, this stinks because they were already in the money. We talk about these during these week look aheads, so we got room to move up on a lot of things, and the ones where we don't have any room because they're already in the money tend to be the ones that go up, so then you don't get to capture that. So if they, for example, had gone down, it wouldn't have hurt as bad, and if a different one went up, we would have captured more of it. But they rolled the 58s. The 60s are still in play, 7.6% out of the money. Lucid Group down 2%. 1950s are 7.7% out of the money. $15 puts sold are 17% out. Lululemon is the third of the put spreads, soon to be only two now that we got rid of Centene. And the 180 short puts are now out of the money by 0.7%. MP Materials Corp was the big loser today, down 7.4%, taking their $72 and $74 calls 9.8 and 12.8% out of the money. $58 puts sold are 11.5% out. Strategy was up 2.25. Took their 295s into the money by 0.2. They've got 300s also in play, 1.5% out of the money. And $220 puts sold are 25+% out. Palantir Technology up almost 2.5%. Got another color mix up here. Sometimes these things settle a little later with Excel pulling the info. 187.50s sold calls are 0.8% in the money, and 190s are 0.4% out. $155 puts sold are 18% out of the money. Quantum Computing up 1.2%. Their $17.50 calls are 11% out. They've got puts sold at $12.50 and $13.50, 14 and 20.5% out of the money. Rigetti Computing, 3.6% increase. Shoot, I got all kinds of colors wrong. 42.50s and 45s and 49s are the strike prices on the sold calls. Right here you can see how many contracts at each, 11, 10, and 15,000. 5.6 to 21+% out. They've also got puts sold at 32.50 and 34. They're about 15.5 and 19% out of the money. Rocket Lab was up 1.6%. 68s and 68.50s calls are 3.6 and 4.3% out of the money. They've also confusing myself. There we go. They've also sold puts at 55. They're 16% out of the money. Rocket Companies was up 1.6%. Still another 1.8% to go on the 1850s and 7.3% out of the money on the 1950s. NewScale Power was up 2.6%. They've got calls sold at $39.50 and $42, 2 and 8.5% out, and $30 puts sold 22+% out. SoundHound was up almost 2% today. Calls at $19.50 are still 6.3% out of the money, and puts sold at $14.50 are nearly 21% out. Symbotic was the big increaser, the big winner, the big gainer today, up 8.5%. We got to capture a large portion of that before they ran into the money. 68s and 70s are now 3.8 and just about 1% in the money. Puts sold at 55 and 56 are way out, 20+%. And finally, Upstart up a fraction, 0.09% or 5 cents. $55 and $56 calls are 4 and 6% out of the money, and $43 puts are 18+% out. So that's how we had a nearly $47 million increase in the volume or in the market value of the shares. At the start of the day, Assets under management, 2.7 billion, 536, almost 537 million outstanding shares. NAV was about 505. Most recently, they paid us 9.03 cents per share. And just a recap from the Sunday estimate video, I said they actually made enough to pay 12.74 cents per share. But before you get bent out of shape, if they don't pay that, there's been weeks where they didn't make any money and they still paid you 9 cents or 10 cents. So that I don't think they're going to pay you every single piece of it when they do make it, if they're going to pay you when they don't make it as well. I'm thinking they're going to pay closer to the IV estimate, but with a great week followed by a good Monday, which is decision day, my guess may be a little low. It may be a little higher than that. So we will see. Tomorrow is declaration day, Tuesday now. All right, next up we have LFGY. They had a big day moving up as well, and gotta love trade days like this. Nothing. So we're already done with this page, other than we might as well remind you that my guesstimate was 55 cents. And again, they had a great Monday as well. So I don't think they're going to move it up too much, but maybe it could be a couple more cents above my 55. All right, when we take a look at their holdings, BitMine was up 6.5%, taking their $52 calls, 3% in the money. Quick explanation here. ULTY was trading a collar strategy where they sell calls and buy puts. These guys just sell calls and sometimes buy calls to create either just a covered call or a call spread. BitDeer Technology up nearly 4%. Unfortunately, all their calls were already in the money and they just went further. 22s and 23s are anywhere from 4.8 to just about 9% in the money. Cash, there's nothing to speak of. Looks like my bank account negative. First American Government Obligation Funds, there's a little in there, 2.4 million. CleanSpark was up 4.3%. Unfortunately, they were already in the money when it started too. 18s are now almost 11% in the money. Same story for Coinbase, up almost 2%, but they were already in the money and went further, 5.2% at 342.50. Core Scientific up 2.74, same story again, already in the money and went deeper with those 19s, now 4.3% in the money. And if you're not familiar with options, if you sold an option, you did not want it to go in the money. I know in the money sounds good. In the money's good for the person who buys something, not for the person who sells it. Circle Internet Group up 0.8%. 145s are still 1.1% out. iShares Ethereum Trust up 6.8%, so they got to capture a decent amount of that before the 31s went into the money by 2.3%. Galaxy Digital up 1.8, still another 3.5 to go on those 42s. GameStop was up just about 1%. 23s were already in the money and went deeper to 2.25%. And 2350s just barely broke into the money by 0.1%. These are the ones that matter. The 2350s, there's 2,400 contracts compared to 100. Robinhood up 4.3. Same story. They were already in the money and went deeper. So all of these, we're not getting to capture a lot of the upside. Well, actually, I stand corrected, because they've got a call spread and not just a sold call, that everything past 142, they are kind of back opened up and picking up the gains. So let me back up a second and see how often that is actually playing into it. Just barely on CleanSpark. We got to capture the last 20 cents of that move. Not there. Definitely on, no, not on Core Scientific. Not there, not there. Okay, so Robinhood's really the first one where it's significant. Starting at 142, we're back to capturing, so that's not bad. Hut 8 Corp up about 4.5%. Again, we got to start capturing again at 49.50, but our 46.50s are 6.6% in the money. IBIT up 3.9%. There's no options, so there's no cap in it. We just got to realize the full $700,000 increase. Not realize. We'll just say capture. Mara Holdings up 0.1%. Still 2.25% out on those $20 calls. MBTX, they've got a call credit spread and a put debit spread. Calls are sold at 265. They're now in the money by 2.5%. Puts are purchased at 255, expiring the last day of the year. They're now out of the money by 6%. Mercado Libre was up 5.6%. That's a huge move. Took our 22.35s into the money by 2%. Strategy up 2.25, still another 2.3 to go on the 302.50s. NU Holdings up 1%, putting them dead at the money. That's a perfect spot to sit. Nvidia up 2.8%, taking their 187.50s 2% into the money. Opera up 1.6%. Now their calls are sold all the way out till November 21st at $18. They're 13.5% out of the money. PayPal Holdings was up 0.6, almost 0.7%. $74 calls are 5.3% out of the money still. Riot Platforms was the big gainer here, 7.3% increase. Got to capture all of it, still 4% to go on those sold 24s. And finally, Block up 0.7. $81 calls are still 1% out of the money. That's how we had a $7.4 million increase in the value of our shares. When we started the day, assets under management just under 230 million, 6.3 million outstanding shares with a NAV of 36.34. Obviously, share price ending much higher than that after a very nice day. Our average sold call is actually in the money at this point, so that is a rough spot to be in. I think I forgot to speak on that for ULTY. We've still got 1% to go on our average first call and 3% on our average second, but that's also averaging, still taking account for things that got closed out. So it's not necessarily, that's not a perfect average there. All right, and last and least, SLTY. We go over these at a higher level because not that many people invested in it. So they made a profit of $22,000 trading options today. They made some adjustments on AMD, which is Advanced Micro Device, Lemonade, and Nebius Corp. In each case, the closing the sold put and adjusting it closer to the money. All right, when we go through, this is a fund where they short the shares. That's why they've got negative 18,000 shares, negative 5,000 shares. And you want these underlyings to go down in order for the value of the shorted fund to go up. And as you can see, we got lots of positive numbers. We've only literally got two things in the entire fund that even went down at all. That was GitLab went down by 2 cents, and Kratos Defense went down by about 0.5%. So your fund's not going to perform well like that. Everything else was up. Lemonade was up 12+%. So it resulted in a $550,000 drop in the value of the shares within the fund. They're shorting Advanced Auto Parts, selling puts at 53. Align Technology selling puts at 131. Advanced Micro Devices selling puts at 227.50. AST Space Mobile, or ASTS, puts are sold at 70. Bitdeer Technology puts are sold at 22.50. That's interesting. Let's just see real quick. I don't think, is Bitdeer, no, Bitmine is in ULTY. Bitdeer is in LFGY. What's LFGY doing? LFGY is selling calls at 22 and 23, and then Bitdeer over in SLTY is selling puts at 22.50. That's different. Circle Internet Group puts are sold at 131. Carvana puts are sold at 315. Enphase Energy puts are sold at 35. GitLab puts at 47. IonQ's puts are at 58. Kratos Defense Security is at 86. Lemonade was at 49.50, but they adjusted those. Let's see what the new one is. 53. Nebius Corp adjusted their puts from 106 to 112. Reddit's puts are sold at 200, and RH's puts are sold at 177.50. I did forget to mention AMD's puts are now at 240. All right, so they started the day $18 million in assets under management, 475,000 shares, and a NAV of 37.98. I did forget to update this, so let's check it real quick. 37.41 is the closing price for SLTY, and the average put is way out of the money. So they will most likely win their trades this week, but drop in value. All right, that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching. Appreciate all the likes, shares, comments, and feedback. And now I got a dad joke for you. I'm kind of proud of this one. I like this one. So I was today years old when I found out that the Norwegian Navy has barcodes printed on the sides of all their ships so that when the ships come to port, they can Scandinavian. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good night. Good luck trading tomorrow.